In this episode, I'm going to be sharing one of the sneaky things that often gets in between ambitious introverts and them hitting their goals. It is one of the biggest differentiators between my clients that consistently get results and the ones who come to me who are struggling to get results. So if you want to learn what this is, see if you are guilty of it, and what action you can take to put it right, then stay tuned. Welcome back to the Ambitious Introvert. I'm Emma-Louise. I am going to keep this one short because we are now in December. We're heading away for the holidays, but also I know so many of you are thinking about 2025 and everything that you want to achieve during then. This episode is going to be a quick reminder and a way for you to maybe reflect and see where there are some gaps in your strategy to make sure that you are being as potent as possible in achieving everything that you want. Now, the biggest differentiator I see with, like I said in the intro, my clients that consistently get results or clients that come to me and say, nothing's working, I'm doing X, Y, and Z, nothing's happening, is whether they are active or whether they are passive. Okay, so when I say active, what I mean is when we're active, we are in the driving seat and we are making our goals happen. We are taking aligned action. Now, that does not mean that we are overextending ourselves or hustling or, working around the clock and burning ourselves out. It doesn't. It means that we are taking aligned action. I will talk more about that in a moment. But what I found is that quite often clients that come to me frustrated, who feel like they're not getting anywhere or they're not getting there quick enough, are often too passive in their approach to their goals. And I'm going to give you some examples. So the first example, let's say the client is an aspiring thought leader and they really want to give a TED Talk. So this is a big bucket list goal for them. So they've got the TEDx logo on their vision board. They've planned their topic out. They know what they would wear when they walk out on stage. They've even made a mock-up for their website. So it's got, featured by TEDx, all of this great stuff. They're visualizing it. They're imagining what it's going to be like, the applause, all the good stuff. That's actually really passive. And you're probably going to be like, Emma-Louise, what? Like they're taking loads of action there. And they are taking loads of action. But it's a lot of behind the scenes action. And the chances of that theoretical client being sat at home and someone from TED knocking on their door, knowing that they've done all of this stuff and inviting them to give a talk is pretty small. So what would it look like to be active in this situation? So active would be taking aligned action. So if we're talking about being featured as a speaker, maybe we're going to Toastmasters and really brushing up on our speaking skills or joining some kind of online group to really hone our skills. Maybe we're actually applying for a TED Talk. Maybe we're going to the website. We're seeing when their next events are, which ones we could make. We're submitting applications. That would be very active. And if we're not quite there yet, maybe we're applying for smaller talks. Maybe there are other talks in our area we could give. Maybe there are opportunities online. So can you see how those actions would be a lot more positive in leading towards actually getting a TED Talk? All of the first stuff is great. We need the mindset, we need the energetics, we need the belief, but we also need to be taking the action outside of that. Example 2, dream car. You have a dream car. You know you want this car. And this isn't a dream car like, oh, it's like a Lamborghini that I'm never going to be able to afford. This is like the dream car of, oh, this is a car that's kind of just out of reach for me. And it's the car that I know is the next car I want to be driving. So maybe you put it as a screensaver on your laptop. Maybe you're visualizing yourself driving it. Again, all of these great energetic mindset compliments. But what would be active? Active might be going to the dealer and actually taking a test drive of the car. It might be getting clear on the finance and understanding exactly how much it would cost rather than just going, well, that's expensive or I can't afford that yet. Maybe it's starting to plan or save accordingly or projecting when you could afford it. So, hey, next pay rise, I can get that car. Or, oh, once I've paid off something else, I can get that car. So do you see, it's a lot more concrete, and you're actually taking action in finding out the facts and figures and applying them and doing something with it, rather than just, wow, look at this car. That's great. Because again, the chances of the dealer turning up at your door and going, here, have a car, is not impossible, but is probably a lot slimmer than you taking the action to make it happen. And thirdly, this one is super common. Hands up here, because I was guilty of this probably about 8 years ago. You start a new business. You set up a website. You get someone to design you a logo. You get your business cards printed. You set up social media profiles. And that is a lot of action, right? You've taken more action than probably 99% of the population, even the ones who say they want a business. You've probably taken more action than most people ever will. However, then you sit there and you wait for the clients to roll in, and they don't come. I've been there. Because it's too passive. It's putting things there and then stepping back and sitting at home waiting for these things to come to you. Active would be making sure that you're marketing on those social media profiles, making sure that you are growing your audience, growing your network, connecting with like-minded people, maybe going out to actual networking, if that's your thing, connecting with people online, connecting with people on social media, maybe joining groups of people who are starting similar or complementary businesses, actually out there selling your services. That is way more active than getting the things set up. Both are necessary, because we need to be, we need to have a home on the internet where people can find us if we have that kind of business. But also we then need to keep taking the aligned action of promoting that business and widening our audience and widening our reach so that we can reach the people that need our services and are ready to buy them. So why are we often so passive as introverts? And I would say that the majority of my clients, despite being incredibly ambitious, in at least one area, we will find that the reason they're not getting the results is because they've been passive. So why is that? A couple of things that come up as I'm coaching clients that seem to be relevant to it. Number one is that they confuse being active with being pushy. They feel like it's hustly, pushy, forced energy, when in actual fact, it's aligned action. If it's steps that you're taking that could get you towards the thing you desire, then it's aligned action. And we need to take that to create everything that we want. So when we think of it as being forceful or pushy or hustly, it can feel very like masculine and overwhelming. And then we can, feel quite overwhelmed just thinking about it. But we have to reframe it as aligned action. It's not about doing everything and anything that we can. It's about doing the right things that are going to get us closer to our goals. Now, I'm going to call out here, because I know many of you are into human design, and you're probably going, but Emma-Louise, I'm a generator, so I'm here to respond, not act. Or you're going, Emma-Louise, I'm a projector, so I'm here to get invited. No. And here's why. To create anything, we have to take aligned action. So yes, you're a generator. You respond. You respond to something externally to you to see if it's right for you. But you have to put yourself in positions where you have things to respond to. So it's not about a big manifestor initiation. It's not about pushing out there and informing everyone exactly what you're doing. But you still need to be putting yourself in positions where you have things to respond to. And the way to do that is by taking aligned action. So let's use the TED Talk example. Maybe you start looking for smaller talks, and maybe some of them your sacral's like, ooh, no, I don't want to do that. Then you trust that. But then you find something and you're like, ooh, that one looks exciting. Then there you go. That is aligned action, and you're using your human design for it. As a projector, I know all my projectors would love to sit at home and wait for an invite to come out of the blue. But again, unlikely without taking aligned action. So the aligned action for the projector with the new business could be tapping into their existing network and just talking to people, just sharing what they're doing. It's not hustly, it's not pushy, but you're letting people know what's going on in your life. I have a project client at the moment who's working on a really big project, which is a big dream of hers. And as soon as she started to share with other people, all of the resources that she needed came in. And she got the invitation to connect with different people, or she got the invitation to, meet with someone or work with someone. That wouldn't have happened if she sat at home and she's not putting herself out there to a degree. So yes, you may want to respond. Yes, you may want to wait to be invited, but there's always aligned action that you can be taking in the meantime to give yourself the best chance of having things to respond to and for people to actually see you and invite you. The response and the invitation, that's your decision-making strategy. It doesn't mean that you don't do anything until those things happen. It means that's how you decide if something is a yes or a no. So I just wanted to clarify that before you all panicked. Okay, number 2. We think that action will make us tired. Super common. Obviously, as introverts, it's very easy to feel like adding anything on top of what we're already doing will make us tired, will make us drained, will make us exhausted. A couple of reasons that taking aligned action probably won't. First is that it's aligned. It's aligned with what you want to do. So there's going to be an element of excitement and joy and desire. It's not adding another bunch of admin for something you don't care about onto your plate. It's actually working towards something that you are lit up about. So for that reason, it might feel out of your comfort zone. It might feel different. It might take some getting used to, but it's unlikely to drain you. And secondly is that a lack of action leads to a lack of results. And a lack of getting what you want and what you desire is going to be way more draining in the long term. So if it's the example of the new business and no action is taken, it's going to be really draining 6 months, a year later when you're in exactly the same position and you've made no money. Okay, so it might feel like it might make us tired to dedicate a couple of hours a week to social media or growing our network. But actually, when that starts to gain traction and people start to want to work with us, we're going to feel energized. So a lack of action can actually be more draining because of the lack of results that it produces. And lastly, we don't actually know what the action that we need to take is. So we are stuck in freeze, maybe overwhelmed by too many options, or overwhelmed by lack of knowledge on what the next step actually is if we're doing something that is very, very new to us. This is where coaching is super helpful. You could work with a coach that bridges the knowledge gap. Maybe they've done what you want to do already, so they have that information they can share with you. Or they can help you to break a goal down into a much more manageable action plan. So you can work with a coach to get out of overwhelm. I would say 80% of the applications I receive to work with me, people are just like, I'm overwhelmed. So when we can break that down and be like, this is the one thing or the two things that you need to do by the next call, they can take action and be with clarity, but also with so much more speed and precision because they're not carrying 1,000 ideas. They're very focused on, I need to do these one or two things. So if you're stuck, if you feel overwhelmed, you don't know what to do, or you don't have the knowledge and there's a gap in knowledge there, then consider getting support, something like coaching that can help you move that along. Okay, I hope that was helpful. I hope that if there are areas in your life where you're not quite getting the results that you want just yet, that you can apply this and look back and see, even if you feel like you're doing all of the things, even if you're spending a ton of time and energy a day on it, are you taking the actual external aligned action? Or are you being very passive, sitting back, waiting, hoping that it all comes to you? And if you are being passive, where could you benefit from being more active? And what kind of aligned action could you start to take right now, today? Thank you once again for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the episode. I'll see you again on the next edition of The Ambitious Introvert. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode. I hope that you're feeling expanded to what's possible for you, motivated to take action, and inspired about how you can start to own your energy. I share even more tools and resources on my Introverts Only email newsletter. By signing up, you not only get early access to the Ambitious Introvert products and services, but you also get brand new podcast episodes delivered straight to your inbox every Monday, meaning you'll never miss your weekly dose of introvert-friendly inspiration. Sign up now at theambitiousintrovert.com/newsletter or click the link in the show notes. See you next week.